Hey folks, Carl here and welcome to episode 6 of Tamiya's mid-production Tiger. Okay folks, so as you saw on the intro, we have gone and added a little bit more to these trees. These are still a little bit wet, but this one is planned to go in there, so it looks like the tree has fallen and split, so it's going to come down and run across the ground here. So that is that one, and then we've just done another random slightly bent and broken log, and that will sit somewhere like so on there. So also, as you can see, we've got a little brown patch here. Now the plan was we were going to paint the whole thing with this cheap paint, but I got this stuff out that I showed you last time, the soil effect, and we painted inside the crater there just to see what sort of effect it gives us, and it is actually quite nice. It's a dry look, but it is exactly like it says on the bottle, textured, and that is dry. We can rub it. I can imagine if we rub it hard enough it'll come off completely, but so I am going to go around this whole base and paint this stuff all over. Now when I open this up, because I got these from I bought these from Tim from the ISM live show, and I think he got them from Paul, I'm not sure, and it was slightly dry. Now on the bottle it says do not add any water back to it because it's water based. It says do not add any more water once it starts to dry out because it's no good, but it was a little bit dry, so I went and put a bit of water in it anyway, and it has actually softened it up as though it's brand new. So all as I used was a little bit of distilled water, just poured it in, mixed it, put a little bit more water in, mixed it until it got to that consistency of soft and pliable mud. So even though it says so on the bottle, proof's in the pudding. There we go. It's been rehydrated, shall we say, and it's good to paint on. So I'm going to paint all this stuff on. It goes on really easy. Just get one of your old rough brushes. That's just a matter of scooping it up and then very gently spreading it on where you want it to be, like so. So I am going to go around and fill this whole diorama up, and we shall talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, there we have it. That is Tamiya's diorama texture paint soil effect dark earth onto the base, and we now have a proper muddy base. I've gone and added this one in, so it's broken, and we've got the broken fallen one there as well, and they are stuck down using, just use this as something to hold it down. So that is that now dried. Next we will add some wet ground effects from AK, this stuff, and we will add this into any places where we think water will gather, so probably a little bit in there, make that look wet, make the tracks look wet, and the edges of the track look wet as well, because we will be putting the snow down up to the edge there as though the tanks are driving through the snow and into the mud. So we've now got to wait for this to dry, which will probably take about, does it actually say on here how long it takes to dry? I don't think it does. No, so we'll give it 12 hours and see how it is. The piece I showed you just before this had been drying for 10 to 12 hours, and it was bone dry. So there we have it. I'm not going to put the tank on it to see what it looks like, but we are starting to take shape. So I need another coat of black just along this edge here as well. So we'll do that as well once it's dry. So there we have that. So I'm going to let that dry. There's nothing to do on the tank at the moment because I'm waiting to do the tank. Waiting until I actually break the snow out and start using the snow before I start doing the tank. So like I said, leave this 12 hours, we'll come back and we'll start to add the wet mud. So I will talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, this mud is now dry and everything is set and in place, and as you can see here down at the bottom, we have gone and we have applied some of the AK wet grounds. This is dry and yeah, it looks wet. So it looks a lot darker than this. When I painted it on, it looked the same colour, but it's darkened up as it's dried. We've gone and put some of the snow sprinkles, this stuff, in this corner here. You can just about see it if we zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look, and it looks very much like ice with snow built in it. And on the opposite corner we applied all three. We put some of the snow, some of the micro balloons, and some of the snow sprinkles, and you've got that sort of effect. So it's very much whiting out. One side of this snow here has micro balloons on it and one side doesn't. To the naked eye I can't see much of a difference, and then we put some of the snow sprinkles around the edge. So the plan now is, I'll zoom you back out, the plan now, let me shut that phone up, is to paint these tracks with the wet effect. I also have up on the stack on the shelf some still water, so we might get that out as well, and I'm going to fill these track marks in with the wet terrain ground. I might get some of the still water out, put some of the still water in here as well to make it look like it's full of water, and we might add some of this to it so it looks like icy water. We'll see. We'll have a play and have a look. So I'm going to get these painted, maybe add some water, a little bit of this, and we should be back in a moment. Hey folks, back again. I've not actually started anything. I forgot that I am going to be adding some static grass to this. So we have 2mm static grass, and we have a buffer bottle, and I have filled this up with the 2mm stuff, and we are ready to go. So all we're going to do is we're going to paint where we want the grass and then puffer it on. So I'll get this done and then I'll show you what we've done. So talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, there we go. There is the static grass applied, the 2mm stuff. Now we've had some happy accidents on some of the tree trunks. We actually caught it with the PVA, the watered down PVA, and we have some what looks almost like moss growing on some of these tree stumps. So quite chuffed with that. So next step is to I'll let this dry. I can then go over and add the wet ground effects to everywhere that I've left. Well, not everywhere I've left exposed, but most of it. So again, I am now waiting on things to dry, so I'm not going to be doing any weathering on the tank until we actually start with this stuff. So I'll let all this dry and we'll be back. Okay folks, as you can see, the Grass is down. My grass was summer grass and I don't have any other colours, so what I've done is I have gone and airbrushed over the top of this grass with no, I can't remember the name of the colour. That's with XF52 flat earth, and I've just very lightly gone over and touched up the grass and made it look a little bit darker and a little bit more patchy. So now we are ready to give this stuff good splashing over all down the tracks. Anywhere where we've left the mud open, I'm going to be going over with this stuff. Now this stuff needs a good stir up. I've put it there as you can see, but I literally took it off the top, and I think this stuff's got lumps and stuff in it, and it looks like it's all sunk to the bottom. So got one of these, and we're just going to give it a good stir up to see what is actually in there. And yeah, you can see there are some particles in there, so I'm going to give this a good stir up, and then I'm going to go around, get all these other bits wet, and we'll be back momentarily. Okay folks, as you can see, I don't want to tilt it up too much. We have laid the wet look mud down, and that is now dry. We've also gone and added some of the still water from Vallejo, and we've added in here around the edges, a little bit there and some in the middle. Now we've still got some to add in down here. So this stuff, you literally, all as you're doing, if we find a little divot around here, so we're going to put a little bit in here, so you're just dripping it in where we want it. Now this stuff says it'll settle on, it'll self-level on its own, but what I've been doing is I'm getting a cocktail stick and I've literally just been moving it around to the shape of the gap that I've put it in, because the water would not sit with that bow on it. Maybe when it dries it'll concave a bit, but I've never used it before, so I have no idea. So I am literally just going around like so and leveling it off like that. So it goes quite a long way, this stuff. So we've still got several little bits and pieces we want to do. What I've done with the crater here as well is I took a little bit of the XF52 flat earth, put a little bit on the cocktail stick and then mixed it up so it actually looks muddy. We'll see what that turns out. I've done a little bit in all the others, but not as much as in this one. So I am now going to let this stuff to dry to see what it looks like when it's finished and dry, and I will then add other little bits, like some around here, a little bit here where there's low points in the mud. So I shall talk to you shortly. Okay folks, that is the still water, what we've applied, dry. Now it has sagged a little bit, but not a huge amount, and it's not looking too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit at the back here, and then that is the base done, ready for us to start applying the snow, ice, and obviously there's going to be some muddy snow around the edges, so we are going to literally just pour some in there, let it settle, and then in the back here as well. We'll let that run and get our cocktail stick and help it to move into those spaces so it's sitting more natural, just like so. So there we go, that is our water effects done. So again, I'm going to put this to one side over here and out of the way. So what's next? Next we are going to be adding some effects to the tank. Now I've already started with some rust effects on some parts of the tank, and if I get the turret off there, I'll show you what we've done so far. All we are using here is the burnt sienna oil paint, and we are just adding some rust streak effects onto the tracks and onto some other bits and pieces around the tank, and of course on the top. So that is done. The turret is done. We have now just started to do parts on the backs and the sides and the front of the tank, and we've got a little bit, we've done these two tow ropes here, but we have the whole top deck to do, and all we're using, like I say, is the burnt sienna oil. Got that on a little palette here, and a little bit of odourless thinners in a little pot, and all we're doing is taking some of the odourless thinners, dragging out some of the oil to thin it out so it's quite watery, and then we're just finding spots where we think rust would accumulate, usually in joints of things. So let's have a look. So we would probably see some inside these cross bolts. All we're doing is leaving it for a moment, getting a cotton bud or Q-tip, whatever it is you call them, and then we're just taking most of it away, like so. Let's zoom that in a bit so you can see the difference. Wrong way. So we put some in like so, and we're just removing it, so it's leaving a very, very small amount still in there. Adding a little bit of discoloration in there, but not too much. So most of it like so, and we're just going to go around the whole top deck of this and rinse and repeat on where we think it needs to go. And then of course we're going to add some dust effects and things like that, so we have quite a light dust here. We'll mix with a little bit more brown in there or something. So I'm going to carry on with this, and we shall talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, that is us done with the rusting, or well, yeah, the rusting and stroke streaking and griming look done. So next we are going to be adding some powders and stuff, and we're going to be using like it's quite light coloured powder, and we're going to be using black as well, because we're going to need to soot up around the exhaust area and the tip of the gun. So I'm not sure how long this video has been going on for, so I am going to call this video here done. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Be good, be safe, and of course keep making models, and we'll catch you next time. Ta-ta.